Okay, Tuesday at a different time. We're trying out something different here with Shop Talk, but you're back in the studio with Chris and Ken. 90 minutes of all the bullshit that fits. Shop
How did
Talk.
we get to 90 minutes, man?
Tuesday. Did I say
What?
Tuesday too?
I don't know,
Heather,
man.
listen, I'm not even sure what day it is, man. I've been
You know
on
where you
tour
are.
too long. Yeah, I'm in Dallas.
All right.
It went to 90 minutes because
I'm
you
where
guys
I'm
don't
always.
shut up.
I'm where I always am. Fort Collins, Colorado. Nothing's changed there.
Heather said it went to
You're
90.
fading in and out a little bit. I'm not sure why, but hopefully that's just my feed and not everyone's.
Heather said that we went to 90 minutes because we don't shut up ever.
Yeah, that might be true. I guess it just gives us the window, like it gives us something to strive to, but I feel like if we get to 60 and we've said everything that needs to be said, then that's that.
It. Right on.
That hasn't happened yet, but
No, because there's a lot going on, man. The motorcycle industry, I was just having a conversation at lunch today with some people in the industry, and I said, in spite of, I know these are challenging times, there's so many obstacles for people to overcome in the business of motorcycles, but other than that, like it's a fantastic time to be in motorcycling and doing stuff with motorcycling, because basically for the first time in a few generations, we have a blank sheet. We're just we're writing this as we go from here right now, and it's kind of cool, man. It's kind of a little bit of pioneering.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that there's I think all the people that want to kind of like relive the whatever, name the time, 50s, 60s, 70s. I don't know if anybody really wants to relive the 80s.
The 80s were rough.
But I think that they're missing the point, which is, like you said, this is our time. This is where we get to create whatever it is that's happening out there. And I think there's a lot of great stuff. I think, you and I both are prone to the idea of, kind of going to the negative at times. But I think there's a lot of really good stuff going on. I think obviously witnessed by, what's going on at IMS. You guys are down there doing Grease and Gears. That seems to have a great reception.
Yeah, man, and I'll tell you what, too, like IMS has had some really good traffic. I mean, obviously, some shows more than others. There's dates to contend with that conflict with other events. There's the weather that keeps coming in and out. But overall, those shows have been stupid busy. And I mean, the Saturdays at every show have been ridiculous.
Yeah. And I think that's going to be especially true in Dallas. I think Saturday is going to be bananas, and Sunday you are going to see people scoot out of there quick.
Yeah, something big's going on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is.
Well,
but,
I think they planned accordingly because the show actually closes at 3:00 on Sunday because of
nice. That's
the
great.
big event.
That's great.
So
remember going to V-Twin on Super Bowl weekend. It was like the most ridiculous thing ever, right?
But listen, the best part about that, and I'm going to give it up to my boys from Drag Specialty. Drag Specialty used to host the maddest Super Bowl parties ever. Like you would,
for sure.
You would, you would hunt your
is,
drag rep down to get a ticket to that thing when you were at V-Twin.
That's true. But the food was terrible. But the camaraderie and the energy in that room was a lot of fun, and I just remember like giant screen TVs and that sort of thing. But I think having, and I'm not really I couldn't even tell you if I'm going to watch the Super Bowl or not. That's not really my thing. But I can see where having it that weekend is probably very advantageous to whoever it is that's putting it on, because I'm sure that weekend is very cheap in comparison to other weekends out of the year.
I hadn't even thought about it like that. It probably is. It probably does.
Yeah. So.
Oh, like I said, man, for our dollar in it, it's been fantastic. We met a lot of great people, like especially back in Cleveland this last weekend. I want to give a shout out to the guys from Skidmark Garage. If you're not aware of this movement of community garages across the country, it's a really, really strong thing. The industry at large is looking for a way to connect the millennials. A lot of the millennials have hooked onto this community garage idea. There's great work happening in this, and really the best part about it is the sense of community that these guys have. I mean, they're really a one for all for one kind of proposition. It's great to see that.
And I think Lucky's garage is like that too, right?
Yeah.
Out in LA? Yeah, I think it's like that. I think there's one I thought that there was one in Texas. I know there's one in Orlando, right? the guys. I can't remember what it's called.
There's supposed to be a crazy cool one that Kevin Dunworth is going to turn us on to when we all get to DC too. He was going to hook us up with some of those guys. Yeah,
that's great, and that's cool stuff because I mean, imagine, we had to create that ourselves. I had to go and beg my buddy Ryan to go hang out at his shop, and it was that same sort of deal, where him and I would sit around, smoke cigars, and try to put together my bike, and that's a great experience. And for people not to be able to have that, because not everybody knows somebody who's a bike builder or a bike builder that's willing to sit there and listen to their stupid ideas, and give them, some pointers and basically build the whole bike, so I think having a place where people can go and do that is great.
Yeah, absolutely.
That actually brings me to an article that I'm supposed to be working on, but I haven't yet, for the next issue, which is about, the guys from MotoOct found this CB750 and literally found it. It was donated to them. It had mice, snakes and spiders and all sorts of things in it. They rescued it, and we're going to do kind of the first installation of that build in the next issue. And I'm really excited to kind of show people that you can take a bike that's worth $0 and make it into something. And granted, these guys are skilled and bike builders, etc., but anybody could realistically do that,
Yeah, and you know what? That was another thing that we've picked up from our stops at the IMS shows, man. You see a lot of people doing stuff like that. You know what? We sort of forget because motorcycling got so fancy with itself for a long time and so much money was involved in this that we forget, oh my God, wait a minute. I'm looking at MotoOct right now. See that 67 Bonneville?
Yeah, there's a couple.
That's my bike. I mean, literally, I had this exact. I bet you that's Chris Gatto selling my bike on MotoOct. You bastard! I'll put
a bid in for you. Okay, no, Heather.
Don't, because I can't buy it back. I have too many motorcycles.
No, there is no such thing as too many motorcycles.
And that's why I married her, ladies and gentlemen, right there. That's the. See?
You never saw my first iteration of attempted custom bike. Whoa, dude! It was a Yamaha Radian. And the guys at Red Hill Motorcycle Works let me go in there, and I wish I had pictures of the welds on it because they were so. I mean, it just looked like seagull poop, just like everywhere. I mean, it was so bad, just globs of metal, and no idea what I was doing. And I ended up trading it. I never got it running. I ended up trading it for a couple of cords of wood, I think.
Right on.
So anyway, but it was one of those things where, and I remember, talking to Billy Lane the first time I met him, and I was like, yeah, I've got this Yamaha Radian, I'm making it, and he was like, cool, man. Like those sorts of things, where the stakes are a lot lower when you got a bike like that. You know what I mean?
You know what, man? The stakes are a lot lower, but in some ways, don't get your panties in a bunch. In some ways, the rewards are a lot higher too. You know what I mean?
Like, yeah. Yep.
Because
when you're just figuring things out for yourself.
Well, when you're on an old country road and you get tired and you literally just lean the bike up against a tree and find a place to crash out, like those are some of the best memories I have from motorcycling. Hey, so I want to remind you guys that while we're doing this broadcast, and this is a new time, we're checking out some new times. You're going to see us jump around a little bit and see what kind of traction we actually get with that. But while we are on this broadcast, we're taking questions. Facebook Live at Cycle Source Magazine. Facebook, you can also catch us through the Shop Talk Facebook. And after the show, we publish this again through YouTube and Forever Two Wheels. That's the number forever, number 2wheels.com as a podcast. Everybody's asking me where they can come and listen to the show. You got the information. We're looking for your questions. If you have anything to spout off about while we're going through the news today, please put it up there. Heather is with us, and we're actually going to check with Heather on Facebook right now and see what's going on.
So I don't have a whole lot of questions, but we have a couple shout-outs. Barclay Smashy, he was worried that he missed your show tonight, so he's glad it's at the time it is.
Right on.
PJ, I'm not even going to try and say your last name, but I know you're from Cleveland because you wrench at Skidmark Garage. Thanks for joining us, and I'm glad you like the 5 o'clock time slot. Ken, David Campbell from Earl's Garage wants you to send to him your address. He's got some calendars for you. And we've got Hammy in the house.
Hammy, what's up, baby?
And Hammy says he's from the Big D. And I'm going to say this. He's actually from Waxahachie. I think I said that right. I will never forget it.
From the Big D. So Hammy, Ken, I got to lay this on you. Hammy is a kid that we picked up in Big Mountain Run one year, and we named him this. And you'll appreciate this because you have children. You know the animated movie Over the Hedge?
No.
It's a bunch of animals. Well, in particular,
Okay.
one animal is this little squirrel. And this little squirrel is like full on 240 miles an hour the whole time. He's like, giddy, 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 giddy. When we went to Big Mountain Run with this kid, his real name is Fenton. And when we went to Big Mountain Run with him, he never stopped. He was like a pinball bouncing off of stuff. And at one Big Mountain Run, I think he rode something like 32 different motorcycles. He would go from campsite to campsite and just ask people if he could ride their bikes. And he was trying to set a record with it. For what reason, I have no idea. But he's a blast. So big love to you, Hammy. We'll see you in we'll see you in Washington.
Nice. That's great. What do you want to start with? You want to talk about the issue that I just got it last week, but there's some cool stuff in there. Gettysburg Bike Week.
In the new issue of Cycle Source magazine, absolutely. This was one I was, it never ceases to amaze me when we get to the end of an issue like this month, and I look at it after it comes back from the printer, and I was like, again, wow, this is a really good issue. Like, because you sit there with it 2 inches away from your face for 7 days straight, man. It's like you're just so glad to see it go out the door. But then when it comes back and you flip through, it's like, wow, we did a good job this month.
Yeah. Well, anybody that's, it should be close to being out on the newsstands at this point, right? And Mondo's in it. It's all about choppers. There's some great stuff in there for sure.
And we got, mad respect to Mondo, and it was so cool having him on the show last week, and so many people have reached out over that. If you haven't had a chance to listen to it, go back and hit up the podcast or the YouTube video because it was a fantastic hour. It really was.
Yeah, that was a good time. He was not light on words, which is great in a guest. I love it when they talk. They do the majority of the talk because people don't really want to hear what we have to say. They've heard it all. So
listen, let's start with something a little bit fun.
Okay.
We're actually hang on for 1 second. I'm checking to see where I'm at with this. Broadcast. You were talking about the Super Bowl. So there's a new commercial going up during the Super Bowl you were making me aware of. Right? And we should play that real quick.
Yeah, don't play that whole thing because it's like 2.5 minutes long or something.
Okay, well, I'll just play a piece of it and then we could talk about it.
Yeah.
First, you must pick the right domain name. I chose Arch Motors.
So that's your boy Keanu channeling his inner Bill and Ted character. Dude, it's awesome.
It's funny. That whole thing is funny. He's got a great sense of humor, and what an opportunity for those guys to have, to team up with Squarespace and be in front of that many people,
Yeah.
Their bikes are righteous. That is the word that I'm going to use.
So that's what this is actually a partnership.
They're so much fun to ride, and I think that that's just going to give him a lot more exposure. People are going to start to understand, that that's not just like a hobby of his, like that is his passion. Arch Motorcycles is his passion, and it sounds like in a couple weeks we should have Gard on, who's the co-founder of Arch Motorcycle. And he'll talk to us a little bit about what's going on with them. So yeah, I think that's going to be fun to see I think it's going to be great. The one thing that people haven't talked about is how great it's going to be for the industry. You
Right.
know, like to get motorcycles in front of that many people again and go, oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, prime time. That's the hottest watching commercials. Anything that happens on television throughout the year. So
Yeah.
So, based on what you just said about bringing motorcycles in front of that many people, did you see the new commercial for, I think it's Alexa? Have you seen that, Ken?
Yeah, I don't watch
this
TV,
is
so
pretty
that's
So
cool.
difficult
this
for
was
me,
pretty cool. It's, I don't even quite understand what Alexa does, but there's a woman standing there in her kitchen and she says, "Alexa, show me my baby." And up comes a picture of her Harley Davidson.
Nice. That's cool.
Let me see if I can find it real quick while you guys are talking about that, because we came across it and it was really badass.
Nice.
Here,
Yeah, my kids have my kids both got Alexa for for Christmas, and so like this morning, I was like, "Good morning, Alexa," when I went and woke up my daughter, and it said, February 1st, 2018. This is the start of Black History Month. Ask me for a fact about Black History Month, and then they were like, in 1872, blah blah blah. I mean, it was like I was like, "Whoa, this is kind of cool."
so here, check this out for a minute. This is neat. So it's like the little baby monitor whenever she asks Alexa to show her baby, and it switches over to her bike in the garage.
That's
Hey guys,
funny.
this is the son.
That's
Welcome
creative.
back to yet another
Yeah,
video.
it is. Well, the more we can get motorcycles in the mainstream media, the more people are going to be aware of them, and the more people are going to want to ride them. So
Absolutely.
I think that's good stuff. Michael says he's ready.
Okay.
He just texted me, so I don't know if we want to just kind of get going with him, and then we can do a little news on the tail end.
Yeah, let's do that.
That's probably be good to kind of respect his time.
It's a crazy fast day today, so
Yeah.
let's cut to some interviews.
Hello?
Michael, you're on the air with Chris and Ken.
Cool. Hey, guys.
Hey there.
How you doing, man?
Wow, the magic of technology, huh?
Isn't
It's
it cool?
crazy.
Absolutely.
So completely honored that you took the time with us today to come on the show. Ken and I have obviously been big fans over the years, but we're super stoked to talk about your gallery show in Sturgis this year for a lot of reasons. For you guys that don't know, you can go and check this out through Lichter Photography or through the Buffalo Chip. But Michael does a gallery exhibition unlike anything else that you'll see every year at the Buffalo Chip. And really, for a lot of us in the motorcycle industry, it sets a tone for where we're at as far as the custom industry, as far as us as a culture. And it's really just, you got to be commended for the work you've done there, Michael, because it's incredible.
Well, thank you very much, Chris. But before we get started, I want to say I'm a fan of your show as well.
Oh,
So you guys have been doing a great job. And Ken, the Forever Two Wheels, I'm listening. I keep it on my phone, so when I work out or something, I can listen to old podcasts and listen to all the people I know and hear more stories. It's really
That's
awesome.
Right on. Well, and obviously, Michael is, as we mentioned in his commercial coming up to the show, he's an internationally renowned photographer in the motorcycle industry. He has taken in his time the most iconic images of our history, of our culture. Pictures that you've probably looked at for years and years and years and wondered who the photographer was behind it, is this man right here. But really, in this last phase with the galleries, when did the gallery show actually start in the Buffalo Chip?
In the Chip, I think it was 2009. The show started in 2001, I believe. This is the 18th year, so whatever that
Right
works
on.
out to. So this is the 18th annual exhibition, and as I don't know if you've mentioned or not, they're different than a bike show, and it's different than really almost anything out there because it is a themed exhibition, and every year the theme changes. So basically, every year come up with a new theme, we have a new logo, and basically it's like trying to start a new Mama Tried or hand-built show every single year.
Yeah, why don't you explain to people a little bit like what all, when we say that this is a gallery show, explain all the pieces of your gallery show every year at the Chip.
Oh, wow. You guys can fill in here as well, but let's say this year's show, for example, is called Passion Built. So you guys are getting this before anybody else. We're going public next week. It'll be the official announcement, but I said, kind of off the record with Shop Talk, I'm going to let you know what's going on. So the show next year, this coming August, is called Passion Built Garage to Gallery. And the idea is that for the participants, they can't make a living building custom bikes. If they're the bike builders or the artists involved can't make a living doing art. So they're doing art and building motorcycles because they love it, they have passion for it, and because basically they have to do it. And truly, I think that's why everybody started building bikes in the beginning. Of course, for many, it's become businesses. They have commercial shops and whatnot. But I think if you go to the core of it, they did it at first because they absolutely loved it, and we're stripping all that other stuff away. So we're going back to those people and saying, what are they doing, and look at how they influence the custom bike world as well. So for this show, we'll have approximately 35 builders, and the bikes are being built to exhibit. And I don't know if you've announced this or not, but Chris Callan is one of the builders that was asked early on to be part of this, because Chris, as the editor of Cycle Source, does not make a living building bikes. His life is all about it, but he doesn't build bikes for a living, and he doesn't promote building and selling bikes. So you're a perfect candidate, as is Jeff Holt.
Absolutely.
Jeff Holt is in it, or Xavier, one of your contributors, Xavier Muriel, the drummer from Buckcherry. We have there's several people that are retired that have been in the business, but not in the custom side, but in one way or another involved with Harley shops or with custom parts that are in it. And we have Stacy McCleary is one of those from the West Coast. We have Skeeter Todd. Skeeter Todd has been in the business for really 40 years.
And that's fantastic, man. That's fantastic that Skeeter's going to have something in this.
Yeah.
It's quite a variety of people, older, younger. Randy Nalge from the St. Louis show.
Yeah, St. Louis Cycle Showcase.
Cycle Showcase.
Big Randy.
Yeah, so he does lighting and sound during the day and works on his bikes at night. So he's, again, a perfect candidate. And so there's many people like that. We have 25 confirmed builders at this point.
Oh, and just to give you guys a real quick rundown of some of these other guys, Ben Jordan, Brad Gregory, Brad Richards, Clinton Wallace, my boy from Texas, Gilby Clark is going to be in the show, John Barwood, Stephen Bates, Tim Dixon. I saw somewhere Jack DeGazio. Yeah, I mean,
how about this? How about Brad Richards is the head of design at Harley Davidson?
Yeah, and that's exciting.
How cool!
Isn't that cool? I mean, these guys, they come with their design team every year. I actually sent you a photo last year of about 6 or 7 members of the Harley design team in the gallery every year, going back to the earliest shows when they were at the Journey Museum in Rapid City. Willie G used to come down, and he'd bring his family and the design team to look at what we were doing every year. One year, they even asked to come after hours and brought their team in. I'd like to be the fly on the wall for that. They opened the museum up late at night. And it was on the Bob's Back show.
I remember that show.
For a couple of years before they came out with the Street Bob.
Yeah.
Well, and that's a quick rundown of what the show is this year. But to fill people in, if you haven't been to Sturgis, you haven't picked up a magazine and seen what this show is, it's really the perfect marriage. Like, you would think somebody of Michael's stature having a gallery opening at the biggest motorcycle show that goes on all year, you would think that you'd walk in and it would just be full of Michael's work and Michael's interpretation of the life and times of our culture, which there's plenty of great representation of his work. But also, Michael has made that perfect crossroads here between the young builders, the older builders, the artists, the helmet guys, the painters, the pinstripers, and it's all right in this one room, married together, and it gives a perfect pulse of where we are as the custom motorcycle culture year to year. And he picks a different theme, from the back when they called it Skin and Bones, and it was everything you could do to a motorcycle before you actually got the paint. Every motorcycle in the room was finished perfectly without any paint. Beautiful, beautiful motorcycles from some of the best builders in the world. That wasn't Skin and Bones. That was, what was the name of that one? Skin and Bones was the tattoo one.
Which one are you thinking about?
The Naked Truth.
Naked Truth
Yeah,
with
that was
no paint. Yeah,
one of my
you couldn't have any
favorites.
paint or finish on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
You walked into a room, and it was pretty overwhelming to walk into that gallery, which was I think it's over 6,000 square feet, and so it's a large space, and it was filled with motorcycles, and there wasn't any paint anywhere. I mean, it was pretty miraculous. Everybody was just getting so close, checking out the welds and how these things were put together, because you saw it all. There's no covering it up.
Yeah, that was a great show.
But it really is, and I mean, it's pretty big of you that you invite all of these other artists and everybody in to share your gallery space and to be part of this special time. It's done great things for our industry as far as marking the passing of another year and giving us an idea where we're going.
Cool. Well, thank you.
Yeah, I
I
think back to kind of when it was at the Journey
Museum
Museum,
where's my
and
photographs, and even though
we would have, there would be
I don't often
15,
exhibit my
20
work in
bikes.
these shows. So in a lot of ways, I write myself out of the theme, because this year you can't make a living off of your craft, and clearly this is what I do for a living. I take photographs. So I'm out of it this year. Last year you had to be 35 or younger, and I couldn't be in that. The Naked, which was the year before, I couldn't be in. Many of them I'm out of. There's one you couldn't be born in the United States for, or all sorts of things. I put themes that I can't be part of. Then every 5 years, I do a major exhibition of my work, which won't be until 2020 again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool. It's great stuff. Can you hear me at all?
Yeah.
Can Michael
I
hear
can.
me?
I couldn't hear you well. There was a lot of static there before, but I think I hear you now, Ken.
Okay, great. Cool.
Michael, how do you choose your themes?
Wow, now who said that?
Heather.
Oh, Heather. Hey, Heather. Wow,
Hi, Michael.
more people here. Hi, cool. The themes brew in my head over a long period of time. They're sometimes it just comes to me. Sometimes I struggle a bit. Sometimes they're themes that I revisit. Like, for example, I did Built for Speed about 3 years ago, and I actually had a race-inspired show around 2005 also. A lot of them are very similar, tied together, and some build from one to the next. So I think this year's show, which to me is about the passion that people have for our craft, for the craft, whether it's the art side or the building of the bikes, in a lot of ways that came out of last year. The enthusiasm that I saw with the millennials that were in the show last year, I found that very invigorating, really exciting, especially the passion that they exhibited for what they do in the gallery. Like, these people came back. Another year, sometimes you have bigger names in the industry, and that's all well and good, and I'll continue to do that, and they'll be part of the show. But I will say, having people that were lesser known last year, they were so thrilled to be in it. They were in the gallery. Like, you'd walk into the gallery anytime during the week, and there'd always be a few builders in there that you could talk to that were happy to talk to people and show them around, which is really cool. Are you looking at the same picture on screen as I am right now? There's people pointing at helmets, for example?
Yep.
Cool. Like that last picture, that was Ray Dre with the design team looking. Just the gallery, it attracts a lot of people. It's good. The helmet part there, by the way, that's Biltwell's contribution for the last, I think, 4 years now. They give us 10 helmets that we send out to artists to customize for the theme. Last year, obviously, it was with the millennials, and this year it'll go out to people that are professional quality. That's what I'm looking for. The people that are so good at their craft they could be professional, but they choose not to be.
Right on.
So again, we'll be sending helmets out like that, and maybe some of your listeners will want to be submitting their names in to be considered.
Well, listen, I'll put one in right away. George the Painter's brother, Jimmy, does beautiful, beautiful art like that, and he works a regular day gig, and he'd love to be part of that, I'm sure.
And he doesn't do it for money. He doesn't.
Nope.
Okay, well, on your word, he's in the show then.
Yeah.
Well, look
very
at
cool.
that.
I mean,
Making things happen.
If he wants.
he might get a couple bucks here and there, but he sure doesn't make a living at it.
Yeah. Well, what I say about this is, in terms of this year's show, the qualifications, that it's hard to put so much money in a bike and then it just sits there. So I understand that people may sell these bikes when they're done,
Yeah.
but they're not building it for a customer. They're not on commission. You know, they build the bike. It's kind of the way it was done originally. When you think Arlen Ness, who I believe created the model for our whole industry, where going back to 1965, he bought his knuckle in 64, and in 65, there he was at the Oakland Roadster Show, and he had it customized. And then after the show, he tore it down, and the next year he showed it again, and it became a new bike. So nowadays, a lot of people build a bike. Rather than tear it down, they may sell it and start over. I understand that, and I respect it, and so those people are also in the show. It's not like you cannot sell your bikes, but you're not promoting yourself on the business end. So that's a big part of it. It's the optics of how you're perceived by the public.
Sure, that makes sense. One of the things that I think is great about the show is that not only is there a theme every year, but there's always a great logo. You know, it's not like this kind of tossed together idea. It's like really well thought out, and I think that's been kind of an evolution. And I know that the guys over at Hot Leathers help you out with that. But it's so neat to kind of see how that comes about. Can you kind of describe that process? Because I know, you give Paul some leeway, but you also have some very definite art direction with that, right?
Actually, I have to admit, I've pulled way back. Now, in the beginning, I was micromanaging probably too much, and Hot Leathers has been very generous with their sponsorship of the show, and they do the logo and make T-shirts for all the participants, which is great. Andy George is a big part of that, and Paul Resnick is the actual artist that does the great work. And the first couple of years, I kind of had a lot of input and critique and whatnot, and anymore I go, you know what, he's pouring his heart into it, and what he does, we go with. So really, I have not, the last few years, after he's produced something, I say that's it. I'm not coming back on it, and consider his work part of the show. And he's done it again this year. He did a great job that we'll be releasing next week with the list of names.
And nice. I specifically left out the logo from our show today because I thought it was great that Buffalo Chip had no problem with us talking to you today and doing a little mini release. So I wanted to leave that so that, when you guys do this with Buffalo Chip, everybody gets to see this year's logo. They get to get the full rundown on it, and give them respect for that. Because I'll tell you what, that's another thing to say, man. Obviously Buffalo Chip is a business, and they're there to make money. But the things that they do like this, Buffalo Chip takes a lot of steps to really take care of the industry and take care of our culture, and given Michael the kind of space that they do here and the kind of cooperation to get these bikes all over the country and make this thing happen, it's something that deserves praise to them too.
For anyone that hasn't been at the show, I should say that when I was invited to go out to the Buffalo Chip, I had been in Rapid City for 5 years, then I was at another location in Sturgis. And then they approached me saying, hey, how about coming out to the Chip? And my first response was like, really? Like, this is coming from a beautiful, high-class museum in Rapid City, and you want me to go out to a campground? And then they go, no, we're going to put a building up. And they just kept adding stuff to it, which was incredible. And in the end, we ended up with more than 6,000 square feet. We have about 85 theater lights in there to light the bikes with. I mean, we have a person come in the night before the show opens to the public, and they turn all these spots, and they're just lighting the bikes. We have additional lighting on all the artwork on the walls and different sized pedestals raising them way in the air, banners hanging down from the ceiling with quotes. So it's a whole package, and they do a great job on it. I have to commend them for that. So it's awesome. It was an offer I couldn't refuse, although I did put one final point on it that I had to say, and that was when it came down to me accepting or not accepting, and that was that it had to be free to the public, which I think took them a little bit by surprise, but they made it work. And the way they did that is they put it right at the entrance at the east side of the Buffalo Chip, so that people can come in for free without going into the Buffalo Chip. People from the Buffalo Chip can enter from the amphitheater, and people from the public side can enter without going into the amphitheater, or if you have tickets, you can go all the way through. But it was sort of a nice solution to that problem.
It really
sure.
is. And like
was the Journey Museum free? I can't remember.
I'm sorry?
Was the Journey Museum free?
I think the Journey Museum was about $5.
Yeah, I thought it was too.
$6 or something. I think it was, and I understood that. Like for them, I think what I was bringing them was people and hopefully some money that they were helping to raise. So
Yeah.
it was a little
For
different.
a
Buffalo
nonprofit.
Chip gets other benefits out of this as well.
For sure.
Bringing people
Yeah.
to the chip and its awareness of the chip. So anyway, it's all good. It seems to work for everybody.
Michael, I
For
think Heather has a couple questions coming in from Facebook Live. If you have a second.
Sure.
So actually, a couple shout outs. Buck Shaw, he says that you're the hardest working dude he knows, and you're an amazing talent.
What's up, Buck?
Well, Buck is an awesome supporter. Nothing like having Buck at your back. So thank you there.
Brian Harley loves the theme of this year's exhibit.
And Brian Harley, he's an incredible writer, and I look forward
Yes,
to
he
seeing
is.
what he writes about these shows every year. He's so good and talented. It's refreshing to see in the industry the people that write that well.
Agreed.
Let's see. David Campbell, he saw last year's show. He thought it was great, loved it. And then Ben Davis wants to know, and you've been shooting for a lot of years, Michael, but he wants to know if you have a favorite photograph. Like, of all the pictures you've ever taken, is there one that just still makes you say, whoa, every time you see it?
I am my own worst critic. I have to admit that. So there's a few things. I'm a perfectionist and critical of my own work. People ask me when I'm shooting, they go, "Oh, did you get the shot?" And I go, "I don't know. We'll see later." I never want to like that would be bad luck or something. And I'll be editing my photos and go, "Wow, that's really great," and I'm happy with it. But usually I'm only happy for a short time, and I move on and think of ways that it could be improved. So it's just
No way.
Unfortunately, it's my nature. But and it's a bit like children also that. I have two children, and I love them both dearly, and I would never say that I have a favorite child. They're very different, and I love them both. And about my photographs, there's many that I really like, and I've distinguished that, let's say, with the photographs that I exhibit. I call them a limited edition print series, and we limit the number of prints we could make from anywhere from 15 to 50, depending on the image. Each one's different. And so those are my favorites. And that's a pretty big family there, a big set of kids. But there's certain ones that I definitely lean towards, and I know that one that the public has somewhat embraced is one that's called Early Morning. It was taken in 1979 as I don't know that I woke up or just I never really went to sleep, but I raised my head and walked with my camera around the campground in City Park. And that was a picture that we later came to know was Ed Reekin's prosthetic leg leaning against his panhead there in City Park with pup tents in the background that you have on screen right now. So,
now, wait one second,
certainly
because
ones that stand out.
I have a fantastic story about this picture that I have to share because it's a beautiful story about how life really interconnects from generation to generation. So this picture, I've had this on the side of my garage, had it up in my office. It's always been one of my favorite pictures. It absolutely marks a moment in time. From the style of the bike to the style of the boot, the style of the prosthetic leg, it all says exactly where it's from and when it's from. So years and years ago, when we very first started the Big Mountain Run, the first ever Big Mountain Run, we came through Wheels Through Time Museum down in Maggie Valley, and there was a young man there waiting for us, and he had a prosthetic leg. He came on the whole ride with us, spent the whole weekend with us, and he kept telling us about his roommate that saved his life when he lost his leg, and it was this old guy, Ed. And Ed took him in and taught him how to ride his motorcycle again, taught him how to live with one leg, and, he couldn't say enough about this guy. Towards the end of the weekend, he said, "You probably know him. Michael Lichter took a famous picture of him." And we were like, "No way, dude." So the next year we worked it out with Michael so Michael could come on the Big Mountain Run with us, and he worked it out with Ed so that Ed could come too. And it was this fantastic reunion, right? But the best part of it was early one morning, Dane, which was his name, Dane has been lost from us, and we'll forever have a hole in our heart from this young guy that's not there anymore. But Dane and I got up really early, and to do a tribute to both of our friends, Michael and Ed, we went up to the Big Mountain Run campground, and where the Haints were with all the crazy, shovelhead and knucklehead choppers and everything that looked like this picture, we put Dane underneath the packing blanket with his prosthetic limb, but it had a Van tennis shoe on it, and obviously it was aluminum and modern and stuff, and like, you know, just to capture that, here it is, you know, 20, 30 years later, the differences and the slight differences and the slight similarities. And it was one of my favorite moments in time of doing this work.
Isn't it cool that you have that also? I presume that Van's shoe had a checkerboard black and white pattern on it.
It did.
Because that said Dane, so I mean that's quite a tribute to him as well at this time that you could have never imagined.
But man, seriously, you know, I think for our whole generation, this whole past 2 decades, if something has happened and it's been noteworthy, Michael Lichter has been there to take a picture of it. You know, there's picture after picture that I can put up here, and stories that I can tell of the people, and you know, and it's all happened through the history that he captures through the lens of that camera.
Well, that's a lot of pressure there.
No pressure.
I definitely have a few favorites as well. I would have to say, obviously, my favorites are the ones that he took of my children, but also there's one I think that you took down in Cuba it's like a really close up of a well, there's two. One's with just a guy's hands that are like super greasy, and then there was another one that was a green tank from an old, like, I don't know what it was, but an old Harley that was it had a green tank, and you blew it up to like a huge size, and you had it in one of your shows. But just those are always the two that I kind of think of, and I'm like, those are like the iconic Michael Lichter photos for me, you know, and kind of my generation or whatever.
Well, thank you. The hand shot is called Working Hands, and to me it tells the story of Cuba just in that detail. You know, if you look at the guy's nails or what's left of them, and his fingers and the wear in his hands, and
I wish I had to show
as well as the part in his hand. You know, to me that's the story of Cuba. And you know, in a way, some of what we're talking about now is about how I feel about photography. You know, like we talk about the hands and telling the story of Cuba. That's my goal. That's what I try to do. And it's like I go and I'm photographing bikers in Cuba and I'm shooting their bikes, but it is the story of their country. It is the story of what they've endured for so many years, and it's what life is like and what it's been like. And same thing for other photos, you know, and that I'm just kind of telling the story of our times in a way, like this photo that you have up now, which I think I call it Talking Heads. And I don't know if I can curse online, but he's got a shirt on saying F Iran. And, you know, that was back in 1979, 80. And that was, you know, that's what was going on then. That's about America and what people were feeling. Also look at how people weren't wearing, you know, there aren't a lot of T-shirts with a lot of commercial designs on it. That was before Harley enforced their logo trademark. I used to do a catalog for two-wheelers, and it was 8 pages in Easy Riders before Christmas, and it was all Harley stuff. And, of course, nobody enforced. Anybody could do it, at least until 82 when they clamped down on it all. But it was simpler times, you know, and that's, to me, what this is all about simpler times and how life has changed.
Yeah.
So listen, man, you know, those of us that have been lucky enough to share your story and follow your story, we're well aware that you've been literally to all corners of the world with your craft. And it, you know, when I hear you talk about things like Cuba and I see those pictures of those hands and that part in that guy's hands, and I get the emotional impact that you deliver with that image, I have to ask you for some of your most touching stories from the places that you've gone out of this country.
Well, I have a lot, so I don't know where to start. Yeah, I just got back from Italy last week. I had an amazing trip there. Italy is a place I go to pretty much at least once a year for the last 10 years, and I have an affinity for it, and I think especially with the theme of the show this year with passion, Italy is all about passion. So that's how I think of Italy. That's how they think of themselves. That's how they talk. And I love it. They talk about the bikes that way, their food that they're eating, the wine they're drinking, and their bike shows are about their lives. That's what it is. So it's, you know, the food and the drink, it's all right there at a bike show, where in the U.S. it's like, no, you can't bring liquor in and you got to buy our $10 beers or whatever.
Yeah.
No, it's there. It's like, hey, come sit down, have an espresso with us, and have a beer, have a wine, I mean, it's like a party in a booth. They even have live bands in some of the booths, like in a shop's booth. They'll have a live band, just have a party.
Right.
So I mean,
that's so
they're
cool.
wonderful time. I was also in Japan in December for Moon Eyes. It's another place that what I try to do on a lot of these trips. So Moon Eyes is a one-day show. And it's a long way to go. Now they're bringing me over as a guest, which is wonderful. I get a lot of publicity on the show. Usually it's in about my work appears in Easy Riders. Often I've been with them for almost 40 years now, but I work for magazines around the world. So typically a Moon Eye story may go in 4 or 5 different countries. So that's what I'm there doing. But it's like, really, for one day? So I actually I think this year was 9 days or 10 days, and I run around. I hire somebody local that can drive and take me around and interpret, and we go visit as many shops as I can. And for some tourists, they go and they travel to a place like Japan, and they're going to go to the temples and the sites and this and that. And I have a different way of doing it. To me, I just immerse myself in the culture, and through my work, that's such an opportunity. It's such a blessing that I can do this.
That's
it's a
fantastic.
way
yeah.
to learn about cultures and about people, and that's what I did again. And I've done this for a number of years in Japan, but and every year I say it's even better than last year. I learned more. I got to see more and interact more. So I'm not giving you specific stories. And I could probably do that. Certainly in Cuba, there's many stories as well. But I was in Russia in June, was it, or May? I was a guest judge at a bike show there. And again, add days on and go see things. I recommend that. Even when I write stories, I do things for Hog Magazine, and sent me to Canada to do a story on Nova Scotia. It was a Celtic music festival. Little did they know that I love Celtic music. I play the Irish tin whistle, and it was
no kidding.
Wow, it was so amazing to get that invitation. And I went to so many of these shows, but then I also got together with 4 local bikers, and we did a whole tour of the island on the Cabot Trail. And again, it's like, go for the biking, but then see what else is there. Immerse yourself in other things you love. And
Amen.
that's what I recommend to everybody.
Agreed.
So on the other side of that, I have to ask you another question that relates to your work, because I know in my much shorter time doing similar work, when I start going back through some of my archives, there are pictures and folders that I literally can't bring myself to look at. I literally can't. The gravity that takes hold of me when I look at some of the images from people that have been gone, and the stories that went around a particular time or an incident, there's some things that I just can't look at anymore. Do you have things over your history of your work that arouse those kind of emotions for you?
They arouse those kind of emotions, but not where I won't look. Like for me, I know exactly what you're talking about, because I've been doing this long enough that I have lost so many people. There's so many images I have of people that are gone. And one of the examples of that from every year, but of course we did the Skin and Bones show 2 years ago that you were in, or 3 years ago, and in the center of that gallery, well,
yep.
Why don't you tell that story a little bit, what it was like to walk in the gallery there?
It was heavy, man. It was heavy. So the premise behind that was the fact that Michael was very fond of Richie Pan. He was real fond of Richie's work, and he was bringing Richie along to the idea of someday having a gallery show of his own. Richie, for a lot of you guys know, was a contributor to the Horse magazine, a painter, tattoo artist from New Jersey, and was taken from us tragically one night from a freak accident where he was walking across the street and was hit by a car. Well, Michael brought Richie's work in, Richie's bike Viola, which was a famous motorcycle, and to walk into that room, it was just it was
heavy.
It was. It pushed me out of the room 2 different times before I could sit there long enough to say my goodbyes to Richie.
Mm-hmm.
It had the grease under the bike that was there the last day he rode that bike. I mean, we brought it in and shot it on a white background, and normally we try to clean things. It's like, oh my God, there's no way we could take that grease off there. I mean, every bit that was on there had to stay there. It was almost sacred, but I don't get the feeling. This is where I may differ. And it's just in general, like I lost my dad a few years ago, and I love surrounding myself with things that he had. There's a big painting I have in our living room that was from him, and whenever I see it, I think of him. It happens to be it's a like 5 foot, 6 foot tall. It's a nude, and from the back, and very simple. And I just see it, and I think of my dad, you know, and that's there every day. So I like to be reminded of people in that way, and in that same way, you know, whether it was Richie, you know, with Richie, there was something else there that I only photographed Richie riding once in my life.
Yeah.
And I've seen him so many times. We'd communicated about his art for a long time because I was encouraging to do an entire show with just his art. And so he would send me samples of what he's doing and ask me my opinion, and I just keep being encouraging to keep going, doing more, and be true to his heart. That was the big thing, because he was doing certain things because he was asked to, but the stuff that he did from his heart was the best, you know?
And he was really just coming into his own, like the art that he was doing in the last couple years.
It was incredible.
It really was. So we were over at the Smokeout, and one morning I happened to be at this hotel that's like 15 miles away or something, and I get up and come out, and there's Richie. I run into him right away, and I go, "Hey, Richie, you know, I'm meeting some people to go for a ride." You know, we're talking for a bit about his art, and then I say, "You know, I don't have any shots of you riding. How about coming with us?" And he's so humble, and he's going, "No, it's your deal, and it's their deal. I don't want to stay." No, I go, "Richie, please, we'd love you." And then I told these guys, they were I think they were called the Long Road or something, the guys that rode cross country, you know, and I invited them all to go riding with us, and I told them that Richie was hesitant, but I'd like him to come. They said, "No, definitely, he's got to come," and that was so great. So I got Richie to come, and he held way to the back. But finally, when I came to him, I got some great shots of him. And as I'm shooting him, he takes his helmet off, even though it's a helmet state. It's like, if he's getting photographed, no, he wanted to be in the wind with his hair flying. Right. And I got some great shots of him. And bingo, that was the day he died. Yeah. You know, less than 12 hours later. It was like, holy shit. And that's why I said, you know what, we've been talking long enough. There's not enough art to fill a gallery, but there's plenty of his art, and the rest of it will be a tribute to him and this idea of the influence of tattooing on the custom bike world, with his bike as the centerpiece of that show. So that's, you know, kind of back to where I get these ideas from, but comes from everywhere.
Yeah. What about, are there places or are there events that you haven't photographed that you're interested in photographing? Like, I mean, have you ever thought about, you know, photographing like the Dakar race or some, you know, like something that's maybe a little bit outside what you normally do?
I would love to do tons of things, and right now it's really a question of time. You know, I shot we had a bike show in Sacramento, California, around the 13th or so of January, and I set up a studio. I go have two assistants and go in, and we do a big deal and shoot all these feature bikes. And I came home 3 days later. I was off to Italy, and I came back from Italy. I was home 2 days. I was in Montreal. I came home from Montreal Monday, and now I'm here this week, but then off to Columbus to shoot a buttload of bike features next Wednesday. Home for a little bit. I think 2 days later, off to Mama Tried, come home, go to Daytona's next. So it's like there's so many things, and I'm so excited about it that I'd love to do it. I always try to fit some new things in. Like I did do the Giddy Up like 3 years ago, but then it's not the kind of thing, you know, I got to switch it out because it's also, I make a living at this, so I don't want to do the same thing and burn the magazines out. But I think I'll go back to the Giddy Up this year. I did the hand-built a couple of times. I did the one show. Tell me where to go. I just saw a new show in Montreal is coming in May that I'd like to go to. It looks really cool, and it looks in the spirit of Mama Tried, and I think that'd be cool to try it in Canada. You know, if I can get up there and figure out how to make it work. We got the Congregation show. We did that the first time. We did their first year show last year. You know, I don't know, will I get back or not? It kind of depends on a lot of factors.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times I get invited. Things have changed. With the magazines, the budgets are tighter. So a lot of times promoters are inviting me. Certain shows like Mama Tried, I know I'll sell it to a number of magazines and it'd be worth my going, and I love to go. Other shows, I just do when I can, and I try to switch them out. You know, I'm invited to shows where people are willing to pay for everything, and I can't do it because I did it last year, or it's just too much or too commercial for me. I really like to look at some of these younger shows focused on younger people, too.
You ever shoot pictures at the Burning Man, Michael?
I have, of course,
you?
and I'd like to do it. It's kind of a mixed bag now because I feel like it's been around so long that it's past its prime for me. Like maybe I really missed it and should have been there 15 years ago when I first started hearing about it. But that'd be kind of up my alley, I think.
Right
It's
on.
worth checking out for sure. It's bizarre.
Yeah. Have you done it more than once, Ken?
No, I just went once. Yeah.
We actually
that's good. It's more than me.
we
I think
covered
I'm good.
we covered it in the magazine once. A bunch of us from the motorcycle industry were having lunch today. We were talking about, shaking things up and doing a Burning Man type of event for the motorcycle culture.
Whoa.
I think we should just get a group of guys to go to Burning Man. I think that'd be pretty cool too.
Listen, I'm in.
Yeah.
I think if we get the Haints and a few other little groups of people, we'd have a blast.
I want to take George the Painter as my co-pilot for Burning Man.
Oh my God.
Right?
Oh Jesus.
I think we should somehow get 100 tickets and just get the right group of people to go.
Well, dude, how about this?
We'll burn up Burning Man. We'll have a good time.
If you guys know a person that has an airplane that can get us out to the Black Rock Desert, Burning Man is free to go to if you parachute in. And I mean, I'm down to do whatever for a free ticket.
That's funny.
Yeah, I think we need our bikes there. The bikes would be awesome.
Yeah, it's bizarre and it's really expensive, but it's worth checking out at least once.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Sounds good. Cool.
Right on. Well, listen, before we let you go, I want to tell everybody about your website because the website is really awesome. The way you have everything laid out, you can search people by their name, builders by their name, events by their year, by their name. It's a fantastic library of work, and it's also a representation of history of our culture. So go to lichterphotography.com and check that out. And
Lichter Photo.
Lichter Photo.
Lichter
I'm sorry.
Photo. Yeah.
And where can they keep on the pulse of the show this year for the gallery show at the Buffalo Chip?
Well, I'll be posting on my site at lichterphoto.com on my social media. The Buffalo Chip will have it on all their social media. And I think once we have the announcement, we're going to start covering. Last year we did it on the late side. It was really June and July, and we're going to get an early start on it. Even though it's early start part of the building process, we're going to try to get more profiles on more of the participants earlier on, so that probably even cover people more than once in that way. So that'll be on the Buffalo Chip site and a lot of the social media for the builders.
That's great. It's always good to know the story behind those guys and what they're doing.
Yeah, actually, if any of your listeners want to go to my site, they could also see what last year's show looked like. We have pictures of all the bikes were shot in the studio. We have pictures of the gallery, of the artwork, of the people in the gallery. Have that the last couple of years, and the site just covers the last few years now, but we're working our way backwards. So over time, this will be a bigger and bigger archive with a lot of history in it, and that's my goal there.
Right on.
That's great.
So, Michael, real quick before you leave, I just want to give a couple shout-outs because people were really excited to have you on the show today. Ditch out of Colorado, she loves you. She thought it was just so amazing to see Richie's bike in there last year. Christopher Robin, he wants to know who's going to fill your shoes, who's going to help pass down these images and stories to our kids. I know that's a tough one, but I think maybe he saw that your son might be working with you now. Is he going to follow in your footsteps?
Well, my son Sean started working for me a few weeks ago, and he's in the thick of it, learning everything he can from, in particular, from Shannon, who's done a great job these last 3.5 years. And I think Sean's amazed now that he's in here every day going, oh, my God, I can't believe what Shannon is able to get done every day. Because we get through a lot of stuff here. We have a lot of deadlines, and with all the magazines I work for around the world, it's a little crazy. But Sean, he's coming on. I have no expectations of him shooting. If he wants to do that at some point, that's great. Hopefully, hope this adds another feather in his cap. He has new life skills from it, and if we get a couple of years together, boy, I'm just thrilled to be working together. As far as who takes my shoes, I don't wish it upon anyone. You know, it's really tough.
Yeah,
for one thing, it's hard enough for my wife Catherine, who's put up with me for 35 years. At least that's how long we've been married. So longer than that, 35 years. And it's tough on the people around you when you're this crazy,
buddy.
you know, when you're so dedicated to something and so passionate that it is tough on the people around you.
Heather
So,
has no idea what that's like.
There you go. There are some great shooters out there, though. There's some great younger shooters coming along, and of course, I've been watching Josh Kurpius for years in particular. He's done a great job, but he's not the only one. We had some great guys in the show last year. We had like 4 photographers in there. So there's wonderful shooters. As far as my shoes, it may be different. You know, the idea of blending. I'm really involved with the industry. I do commercial work, editorial work, and the exhibition. So I don't know. It's probably too much.
Yeah.
At least that's what my wife tells me.
You know, one thing I'm proud to say, because we like to be at the beginning of every budding career, we've actually had photos in from Sean for quite a long time in our magazine. So if you look back through the pages of
that is true. You're right. There's a budding. You're right there. That's perfect.
Real quick, Jimmy Frizzell just popped on because his phone started blowing up pretty quick after that, and he texts me, and he says this is insane and he can't believe it, and he's so excited already. So Michael, I'm going to pass his information along to you.
There you go.
Awesome. That's great. Well, I'm glad to have him on board. So he'll be the first artist, because my focus at first is on the builders, because they need more time to get the bikes together and there's more money involved, things like that. So that's my focus early on in the putting together these shows. They take really a full year to put the exhibitions together. So now I'm just going to get going on the artwork, but he will be the first name on the artist side of that list.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic. And I'm just going to throw this one last thing out there. I know you guys are trying to wrap up, but this is such a great statement from Christopher. He said, so few of the photographers capture the essence of being a motorcyclist or the motorcycle lifestyle. A lot of people shoot bikes and do a good job, but they don't tell the stories that your photos do.
That's the truth right there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you very much.
Yep. That is the truth.
Very cool.
Well, Michael, I hope we have you on this show for 100 more times, because you're always an absolute joy to talk to, and you're a wealth of information. You always got cool stuff going on. So please keep us in the loop, and when we have an opportunity to talk about your next adventure, let's bring you back on.
Yeah, for sure.
That'd be awesome. And, you know, you guys, like I said early on, that you're doing a great job. Ken, I've known for quite a few years since he got started up locally in Colorado here, so he's not far away from me. And we need to go on another ride soon. It's been a little too long, a year now. So as soon as this stuff melts, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you guys do a great job, and I love your podcast. So keep that running. Forever Two Wheels is awesome. It's a great way to really learn about people and what's going on. I love the history.
Thanks.
Right on.
Appreciate it.
Well, thanks, guys. This has been great. A pleasure. A real pleasure to be on with you.
Well, thank you.
Right.
We'll see you. Michael. We'll see you in Sturgis.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'll probably see you 10 times before then, too.
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right. Later on.
Okay.
Then.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
That's so great. I've been a fan of his for so long, man, and like to finally get to know him as well as we do today, and be able to call him up for something like this. It blows my mind.
He was my second client. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
When I started doing motorcycle PR, it was Red Hill Motorcycle Works, and then it was Michael Lichter, and then he turned me on to Sucker Punch.
No,
he's the guy who introduced me to Jeff and Donnie. Yeah.
Wow.
Real deal. And then we realized very quickly, I was like, oh, you don't need me. Like you get plenty of work. You're good. We're good. But it's been a pleasure to it's an honor to be his friend for sure. So, and go on some of those rides and watch that, kind of happen, transpire in front of me. It's pretty cool to watch for sure. We got 15 minutes.
Yeah, let's cycle back through some of the news. Let's talk about
minutes.
Metzler unveils new K-Rouge Street off-road style knobby tire. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because that's what we need is more knobby tires for the street, right?
Well, listen, I mean, for the builders, man, everybody's looking for that edge to build something different. This is the kind of tire that gives your bike a different look when you're going for that tracker style or something off the wall.
Dude, Jeff Cochran's been putting those kind of tires on his bikes forever. Not that exact tire, obviously, because these are new, but that's immediately what I thought of. I was like, oh, they've been looking at Jeff Cochran's bikes. I was like, that's what that is.
Is that what we put on the War Pony?
Actually, no. We were trying to put these on. We were trying to put these on the War Pony. We ended up going with a tire from Pirelli. That it kind of has this same pattern, but little bit different. And it was an issue due to size. We use Metzlers on everything that we build out of flat broke in the Cycle Source garage, but on this particular occasion it was down to the wire, and I had done the most stupid thing that you can do as a builder. I bought the wheels and then went, wonder what tires I can get for these.
You wonder what I can get on these, yeah.
So yeah, Tyler, I'm taking your advice, and the next time that I go to build a motorcycle, I'm gonna pick the tires that I want first, and then we'll go that way and see how it works out.
That's crazy talk.
Right?
Yeah.
I can be taught though.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
So, where you want to? This is a great, how every week we have this batshit crazy news segment, and
Sure.
It's always a lot of fun because I like to make fun of crazy people and crazy shit that we find in the motorcycle world. But this was actually a really, really good piece that Heather brought to my attention this week, and I am so happy to see stuff like this still goes on in our country today. Let me play this video for you guys real quick. So thanks to Special Edition for sharing that piece of news with us. But in such a cynical day and age, to see people go out of their way like this, and just take this event to this guy. He'd been going to it every single year, and because
Whoa.
we've lost control.
Apparently.
But to see that kind of stuff go on today, that just, it warms your heart. It reconfirms your beliefs in humanity and the fact that there can be a better way to do things. So,
For sure.
for me, I'm idealistic, though.
Yes, you are. But that's what people love about you, Chris. Or maybe one of the things that they love about you.
So, speaking of being idealistic, optimistic, and slightly weird news.
Okay.
Electric motorcycles in the news.
What about them?
Here they are. Here they come. Harley-Davidson commits to electric motorcycle production by 2020.
Yep.
Now, of course, the news that everybody's talking about this week, and I'll switch over to that, is the Kansas City plant closing, which plenty to say about that.
Sure.
At the same time, they back it up with, more of a new direction. And that's something, a recurrent theme we've been going after week, that, Harley-Davidson is looking for brand new customers. This is absolutely going to be a completely different direction for Harley-Davidson. That is for sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, the quote is, our actions to address the current environment through disciplined supply and cost management position us well as we drive to achieve our long-term objectives to build the next generation of Harley-Davidson riders globally, said Matt Levitich, President and Chief Executive Officer. We finished 2017 with over 32,000 more Harley-Davidson riders in the U.S. Than 1 year ago, and we delivered another year of strong cash generation and cash returns to our shareholders. So, I think it's difficult always when, their big thing was that their Q3 sales were down about 11%, and the industry as a whole was down about 65%, and I just feel like they're trying to do everything that they can in order to make ends meet, and to make people happy, to make their shareholders happy, and also help their dealers out. And so I think having more options like electric motorcycles, I think it makes sense. I know there's plenty of naysayers out there. I never rode the Livewire, so I don't know what it is. I'm assuming maybe you did, but I think they've had this idea for a long time, and they were just trying to kind of get poised to pull the trigger. And Zero Motorcycles has done a fairly good job, but I think there's going to be an even bigger opportunity, as well as smaller displacement motorcycles for those younger people trying to get on motorcycles. So I think that's it wasn't surprising at all. Was it surprising to you?
It's not surprising to me, but I mean, it's definitely like if Harley Davidson put that together as a picture of one small piece in the construction of the road to the future of motorcycling, I understand that. But anybody that thinks that the electric motorcycle is going to be an immediate be all end all fix for hard economic times, it's not.
Definitely.
I'll tell you what I could see, and this is something interesting about that. I could very quickly see the electric motorcycle in that picture replacing the city bikes that you can go and rent with your credit card and ride around the city for the day. I could see that happening overnight.
Sure. Yeah, that's a possibility for sure. I mean, and the thing is that although they're closing their plant in Kansas City, it just means they're going to have more work in York. Right. I mean, that is the reality of that. And they're going to be able to, kind of leverage that opportunity and make sure that, they're doing the right thing for their business. So, I mean, obviously it's not great news. We don't want to see anybody lose their job. We don't want to see any plants close down, but that's just the way it goes sometimes, So.
Chris, real quick, Christopher Robbins, the Livewire was a cool bike to ride, but not sure they can have a price tag that justifies the battery life. He says they're really fun to ride, fast and good handling, but the battery life has always been the biggest negative factor. So maybe they've made some improvements on that. I haven't seen any stats on that yet, but I'm sure we'll find out in the coming months.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to check it out. But, I mean, going back real quick to what you were saying about the plant closing, the truth is, for Harley Davidson to do what they need to do to make that road to the future, there's going to be some hard choices. I'm not surprised that there's a plant closing, and I'm not surprised they're consolidating their workforce. These are things that happen. I mean, Pat Jansen, we were just having a conversation where he compared the whole thing to Porsche. Back in the 80s, everybody wanted a Porsche, into the 911s come out, and it was a hot car. Then all of a sudden, Porsche ramps up production. Everybody has a Porsche, and then nobody wants one. So Porsche, to find their way back to being a credible brand, they had to limit production, cut things back, redefine themselves as a brand, and reintroduce the market as a special, automobile again. And it was over a period of a few years that this happened. So, I mean, they have a tough job that they have to deal with in all of this, and it's going to come with some tough choices. And our hearts go out to everybody whose job is affected by the Kansas City closure. But it's going to probably get worse in the motorcycle industry before it gets better, as this whole thing redefines what it actually is.
Agreed. Let's do one last one, which I think is kind of cool. The Kenny Coolbeth SBS one.
Yeah.
So, for people that might or might not know, SBS makes brake pads. They are one of our advertisers in the magazine. They've been great to us. Anytime we ever need anything, we go to them, and they're always really helpful. And they just sent out that they are going to be sponsoring Kenny Coolbeth Jr. in American Flat Track this season. And he's switching his ride from a Harley Davidson to an Indian. And he's coming into the season
How about
with
that, dude?
Yeah, I know.
How about that?
Yep. So, I mean, the writing was on the wall, and now, he's sponsored by SBS, and I think that's a great thing for a brand like SBS to get in there on racing. And, good luck to Kenny and all the racers out there with that. So
absolutely, let's try to set that interview up. I'd like to talk to him as the season gets going, and and see where his groove's at when he checks this bike out and what he thinks. Absolutely.
Yep. I mean, it comes back to that whole. Oh, you know what I didn't tell you, Chris? I got your name in the hat to ride that FTR 750 down in Daytona.
No.
So I don't know if you got your racing leathers with you or not, or if you can get them shipped down there. But that might be a possibility after the race on Saturday.
That's so cool.
So I asked for it for myself, and then I realized I'm 100% unqualified. You have a lot more.
Oh, I don't know if I'm qualified, but I'm determined.
Thanks, Ken.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And they said they do what they could, and I think it's more about kind of seeing what that bike is all about, being able to get on it. It's not like you're going to go do hot laps on it.
Right.
But,
have you met Chris?
Yeah.
Come on now. He doesn't do anything small.
Well, and I have a need to get in over my head. Hunter
No.
Thompson said it perfectly. The only people who know where the edge is are people who have gone off.
Yes, correct.
So, real quick, he tuned in before his surgery, and I know his wife's here now. I just want to give out a shout out to Mailman. He's having surgery, I think, right now.
Oh.
I'm not sure on what, but he's a huge supporter of ours, and I just want to wish him our best.
Yes, sir.
Cheryl, give him our love.
Definitely. So
one last piece of news. We were talking about this for a couple weeks about the Mecum auction, and how we thought they have a little bit different of a program going on, and we were wondering how that was going to affect their program, their outcome. But we see in the news today, new world sales record set at motorcycle auction, and this is from Bonhams. Nearly 1 million sale of rare Vincent Black Lightning has set a new record for the highest price ever paid for a single motorcycle at a public auction, going under the gavel at $929,000 at Bonham's auction held in the Rio Hotel Casino. The unrestored Vincent bested the previous sales record in 2015 when a 1915 Cyclone, once owned by the actor-writer Stephen McQueen, went for $775,000.
Yeah.
So,
and that Cyclone would be worth well over $1 million at this point.
Oh yeah.
But you could never find one that somebody would want to sell. Yeah, and I love the fact that it's like it went under the gavel at $925, and guess what? The buyer got to pay another 15% or whatever it was, so it went to over $1 million for it. It's like, dude, you got to be kidding me! Like, anyway, just another plug for MotoOct. That's so crazy that people. It still baffles me that that's what happens there. Like, I'm going to pay $925,000, and then I'm going to go pay another 15% on top of that.
Did you see the Harley sign that was on an old factory that sold for $75,000? $75,000 for
an old sign.
Yeah, that's craziness. It's craziness. But hey, people got money.
I need to make more money in my life somehow because I don't understand stuff like that. I look at that and I go, "Are you kidding me?"
I don't think you do need to make more money. I think you need to go sell stuff like that is the answer, right?
So what do you got from the MIC, man? I got some stuff on my desk from Motorcycle Industry Council that you sent in for us. And
what did I send you about the Motorcycle Industry Council?
Something about the Power Lily gas tank program.
It's actually the gas tank program for new entrepreneurs in the motorcycle business.
Oh, yeah.
Well, fill us in, baby. Get it on.
Yeah, I'm like, I didn't send it to you. Gina Woods did it last year.
So this picture is actually of last year's winner, but it is open to all entrepreneurs in the motorcycle business, and it just provides them a platform to hopefully help launch their new motorcycle related products.
Oh, no kidding.
So it's a competition within the MIC. I believe it happens at AIM Expo. I'm not 100% sure, but I just thought it was cool that they're trying to get new products out there and inspire people to get more involved with bringing their products to the public. So sorry I threw that one in there.
Good stuff.
No,
No,
hey,
that's good
great.
stuff.
That's great. Look at her actually like assuming the role of program
Producer?
director. Yeah,
Yeah.
producer. Dig that. I'm
Love it.
impressed.
I love it.
Right on. So what do you
All
got
right.
planned for the week?
Dude, this was like my respite. This was like my sanity for the week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even want to get into
Well,
it. But
we're
yeah,
gonna
this
we're
is
gonna
my
head over to
sanity.
the convention hall now and start setting up the garage and waiting for everybody to come down. Come and see us in Dallas, man. We got a lot of great stuff happening on the stage. Chris Moose coming down tomorrow night. We are all going to be at. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to advertise this or not, but we're all going to be at Strokers for a builders party. If I'm not supposed to advertise it, pretend I didn't say it. If I am, there's your free plug. So
There you go.
but we're all going. So
Who else is
Nice.
presenting on stage? Misfit Industries,
Misfit Industries,
Matt Hurtado, Working
Matt
Men's
Hurtado.
Customs,
Dude,
is
have
going to
you-
be doing some leather work.
Have you ever seen Matt's work? Have you seen?
No, I haven't.
Oh, Matt is fantastic, dude, and he's going to come and do a piece start to finish of hand tool and leather. Really
Nice.
talented guy.
Big Joe.
Nice.
Big Joe's going to do metal shaping 101.
And Xavier's going to be doing some stuff on the weld table, right?
Yeah, we got a while back. We got hooked up with the people from Certiflat for weld tables, and if you guys haven't checked this out, I'm gonna pull the site up real quick. But weld tables are so fantastic to have in a shop. Absolutely worth the money. But what we're gonna do with this new segment is actually show people how to use the fixturing and what it means to have access to a weld table and the different things that you can do with it, because there's 102 parts, clamps and braces and brackets that you can get for your table, and it's just, you know, that third hand that you always want when you're welding something together in a shop. This is your
Sure.
third, fourth, and fifth hand. So we're gonna have a whole segment on that. It'll be pretty good.
And, you know, not to mention the fact that you can actually make it so it's straight.
And straight
So
is a neat thing, especially when it comes on a motorcycle, because
Yeah.
it may save your
Yeah.
life.
It might. Yeah, it might. So,
Right on.
right on, man.
Well, how we doing on Bookface? Are we all caught up?
Yeah, I think so. My mom, I love my mom. She says, good thing you have an assistant. She's doing a great job. And she said, you really shouldn't go fast again.
Judy, really? You're killing me. You're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me. All right, man. Well, listen, if you can't make it to the Dallas show, we're rolling into Chicago next. And then 2 short weeks after, we're going to be at the Washington show, finishing up War Pony. Lots of great stuff going on. Send us your emails. Send us your feedback for Shop Talk and what you like, what you don't like, who you'd like to see us interview next. Thanks again to Michael Lichter for being on the show today. Always a treat to talk to him. And until next week, Thursday at some time to be announced.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe Thursday.
Until that time, I'm Chris.
And I'm Ken.
And we're
And
out.
we're out.